ass? Welcome back to the chop shop. And today, as soon as I get this freaking mess cleaned up, we're working on Sandy, my 78 F100 that we are Crown Vic swapping, zing the frame, redoing the frame notch, forelinking, bagging. We just rebuilding all of the everything on this thing. So it's round 2 of this build. If you're just tuning in, go back. There's tons and tons of episodes in this thing. Basically like a year and a half or 2 years of me building it out of shit that I just had laying around, relentlessly abusing it. For 6 months until the engine let go, and then it has since exploded into this project. Since you have last seen Sandy, I have continued shaving the firewall. I was kind of putting off these screws until I realized that I don't need what is holding those on anymore. So I still got to zip these screws out, take the fuse panel, is what's on the other side of those screws. And after I'm done filling your mom's holes...
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
We'll come back through and we will fill these holes. But other than that, guys, I've got everything sanded down pretty good. You know, at least good enough for me to the point where I'm ready to hit it with some like fiberglass infused body filler, smooth it out, hit it with some paint. But today what we were doing, after quite a wait, I think it was like 5 or 6 weeks, what these are is the Outcast AutoWorks lower control arm brackets for the Crown Vic swap. And I only have one because I have the other one already sitting up in here. And it's super dope. And the reason that one is in there, because if you look at this side of the frame where it's flat, this side of the frame is super knot. So we're either going to have to cut this out and weld in a flat plate, or maybe try and take some heat to it. I don't really have any torches, so I don't know if I'll be able to bend this or not. But this bend does prevent that bracket from going in, unfortunately. But these, my friends, are just super, super dope. Beautiful welds, like way better quality than anything else that's on the truck. And it also comes with shims, which, I mean, holy cow, does it come with shims. Also comes with your bushings that fit on the Crown Vic lower control arms, as well as the hardware to install them. I don't know if I'm going to weld these or drill the holes and bolt them on yet, but that's the plan for today. The plan is to get the frame scooted here in the center after we get everything all cleaned up, get the frame back up in the air, get everything all plumb level squared, and I want to Z this frame. What I mean by Z the frame, if you haven't seen it be done, is you basically cut the frame and move this section of frame up like 2.5 inches, and then up here you'll cut this section of frame, move it down 2.5 inches, essentially just raising this cradle. And what that should allow me to do when it's all said and done, fingers crossed, is lay body. Gone through this before. I see a lot of guys take the effort to do the Crown Vic swap and bag their stuff, and then there's a gap in the front of the cab. You know, almost the entire truck is sitting on the ground, and then you've got this big gap in the front, and I hate it. So we're slicing this apart one more time. And you know, I could have already done this, but I didn't want to make all these cuts without actually having these brackets. As you can see with the Crown Vic box plates, I did get the plates that come with it that allow you to use the factory. I don't even know which way these freaking go. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not using them. If anything, I'm going to use them for a fish plate on the inside. But these just, A, they're super dope. B, they tuck up in here nice. So that's going to allow me the maximum amount of room when I do my Z to box, fish plate, and just strengthen everything back in. And again, they're just dope. They're super dope. But I didn't want to do that without these. Another oddball thing, if you notice, I was hoping just to use this 2-inch plate here, but A, it's a little bit flimsy. B, the frame is like 2 inches right here, but then as it goes down further, it gets out to like 2.5 inches. I have some other pieces of metal we'll grab here in a minute, and when we get there, we will address that while we are there. But it's just a thing to note that if you go out and get yourself a piece of 2-inch steel, it's only going to be wide enough up here. But speaking of metal, my buddy Mike was kind enough to donate some metal to me today for Sandy. And you see, work followed me home. And speaking of work, guys, please bear with me. I know I've been slacking on kicking videos out a little bit here. I am back to my normal 50+ hour a week job. And then on my days off, I normally grab a unit to run out of state. This is kind of a little side hustle currently. So, I mean, I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. So bear with me. I'm trying. But back to metal. I grabbed some plates that I can use instead of that 2-inch piece. I can obviously trim these down to whatever length they need. And then I grabbed just these, I believe they're 2x2. And basically what I'm just going to use these as stilts. And I will tell you what I mean about stilts here in just a second. What I mean by stilts, guys, is once I get this thing in the air, rear end and everything on the stands, everything plumb level squared, I'm going to do 4 stilts, literally just clean these up and weld them to the frame while it's plumb level square. And then there'll be a set of stilts in front of and behind the cut. That way when I make that cut, this thing isn't going to move at all. I can literally just take something else that's 2 inches, which literally just a piece of this, and put the front end that'll be on stilts on that 2 inches, raising it 2 inches, and burn everything back together. So in theory, after I weld 6 stilts on here, after I make these cuts, again, I can just move it up, burn it together. It's going to save me a lot of measuring. It's going to prevent everything from walking and moving. So we're going to brace everything, throw it on stilts, and burn it back together, effectively raising effectively lowering this truck another like 2.5 inches. But before we do, real quick, as you can see, the freaking garage is a mess. Literally everything is in my way. So I'm going to drink some beer, blare some music, and clean up the shop. When we come back, the frame will be in the center of the garage, squared, leveled, and ready to work on. So enough rambling, just start getting shit done. All right, Mr. Mouse, you got your trusted DeWalt ready to do some work? No? All right, I get it. I get it. You've had a long puppy day. You've had a long couple puppy days. Anyways, speaking of work, I don't have my stilts in place yet, but I do have the frame leveled this way and this way. At this point, I am trying to figure out exactly where I want to make my first cut. Because like I said, we're going to cut here and drop this section down. And then, I mean, or however you want to look at it, we're going to make a cut here and a cut here and move this whole section up, leaving the rear section of the frame and the front section of the frame as it is. So essentially we're lowering up here, but we're lifting there, if that makes any sense to you. But if you look at the frame from the top, it has a little loop-de-doo right here, and you want to cut behind this point because this is where the doghouse sits. So your body mount goes right here. So you don't want to cut right here. And I do have my sway bar. And again, it's got the stereotypical bent end links, but we're going to replace those. But I have that as about as vertical as I can get it. Side note, I've done a handful of research, and I see a lot of guys install these wrong. They'll actually use like this set of holes up here. What that does is that pulls this end link way forward and doesn't allow the sway bar to work properly. You want this end link to be as vertical as possible in order for it to function properly. That isn't totally vertical, but we're gonna take it. Anyway, so you see, I gotta drill my other hole, but this is where my sway bar is gonna end up. So I think I want my line to be about here-ish, which is gonna kind of complicate a little bit because you're gonna box the top and bottom of this back end and fish plate everything. So the issue is not wanting to put an angle piece of metal in here to box it all back together and end up right there. So I want to be as forward as I can, but I'm going to have to do it as on a spot that's as flat as possible. So when we come back, I'll have made that decision. I'll probably have my stilts, because they're probably going to go, I don't know, probably right here. So I can run it right through, I don't know. Because I want to leave the Vic front end in while I do the front section for rigidity. And this is going to be the easier section, so it's my practice section. And then because this is heavy as shit, though it does provide rigidity, I want to get it out of my way because I'm going to have to lift this section up and to do that. So anyway, I'm going to come back. I'll have made some decisions. I'll either have the Crown Vic front end in or out. Maybe we'll just do some bracing this way as well because you already have one. But I've got some measurements to pull and some decisions to make. When we come back, we'll be making progress, cutting, welding, stilts, blah, 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 blah. Plans changing already. Reason being is I have these leveled by the boxing plates, which is from what I've seen how everybody else does it. And they use the framing square to do their line. Fun fact, while these may be a flat spot on the frame, as you can see, the upper control arms are way not. So maybe you can actually get this sitting level. Yeah. Way not. So these are way not level. These are. So this is coming out. Alright guys, so we got the Crown Vic suspension dropped. In a future episode, I know that you can order these from Outcast, the same spot that I got the lower control arm brackets. I'm going to make my own upper control arm brackets. They just look insanely simple. I'm pretty sure I can do it. Anyway, I made my decision on where I'm going to make my cut. Again, as soon as the frame gets flat, in fact, I probably could go a little bit more forward if I wanted to, but I found a reference point. There's a hole on both sides of the frame, so I didn't even have to do any measurement. So I just used framing square, leveled on my boxing kit here to make my line, and then I just used my speed square to pull it across the top. I still have to do it across the bottom. But other than that, besides cleaning off some more paint so we can weld it back together, I need to pull my, I think I'm going to go 2.5 inches. I've heard 2, I've heard 2.5. I'm probably going to go ahead and go 2.5. So we got to make that split and then do some cutting. I think I'm going to pull my measurement from the ground since we're level all the way around. And it looks like the center of our hole, which is our reference mark, is 19.5. So let's do a mark at 18, and then 20.5. And basically we're just going to make this cut and bring our lower mark up to our upper mark. Here we go, guys. And if you notice, got the protective gear on. You know, I'm normally the protective gear. But after so many close calls and blowing black boogers for days at a time and having headaches and stuff anymore after it, dude, just swallow your pride. Put your freaking protective gear on, man. Just do it. See that? See that? A, I have no safety switch. B, this thing just exploded. It did. Just exploded. Glad I have my safety googlies on. Look at that. It even fall off the stands. It's doing a magic trick. The jack handle saving it from falling. Like I planned it or something. That totes did not. Anyway, now what we do is we make this line, the lower line, line up with the top line. So this is going down. Much like your mom.
How dare you? She's a nice lady!
Hey guys, so I got just a little quick tack weld on that side. And dude, just this little crossbar and jack stanzas. Thus far, all I've needed. Boom. So that's, again, I kind of wish, and I thought about it like 5 times, I kind of wish I had scooted it forward a little bit more. We'll figure out what we're going to do, because this bolt right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here is the front of where my sway bar bolts. And you know, you would want to, you're going to want to brace this up, but I mean, I can cut, I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Look out! So we're all burned in, both sides. Still steaming. Through some. Sorry, I normally zoom out. I didn't zoom out this time. Got some fish plates on each side. I didn't really give a shit what they look like because they're just there for rigidity, and you're literally never going to see them again because I want to box in this frame on both sides. So I didn't really care about their shape or whatever. So they're 3.5 by 3.5. I burned a weld on the inside real quick, ground it down, burned them in. So that's currently where we stand. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. We're just zooming out. It's so much easier. But I'm getting kind of lucky in the front because I stated at the beginning of the video in the back is we start off at about 2 inches and then we get wider at the rear of the frame. But The front of the frame, not so much. So, in order to do this transition, I already have a piece. So I just need to cut it to whatever length, put some bends in it, and make this shit happen. So, again, after I do some brainstorming, figure out how I want to go about it, tune back in and give you an update. Ugh. The man with ADHD with too many projects. So now I currently need my workbench. But on my workbench, I have freaking models everywhere. And hole saws from doing the firewall. Well, I guess that's our new workbench, isn't it? Keeping it super simple, guys. I pulled some measurements, decided I wanted to do a 9-inch section. Conveniently, this was exactly 18 inches. So, and I thought about doing some speed holes or whatever in it, so it kind of matches the frame or the frame notch. But I mean, none of the rest of anything else looks like that. So I just feel like it's going to be drilling a bunch of holes for no reason. Plus, it'll let dirt get in my frame. So we're just going to cut this in half, do some rounded edges. Again, just using my little cheap, I don't know where I even got this from, but so I just measured in half, and then that's not a 2-inch hole, that's a 2-inch hole there. So I'm going to cut that out, round those off, figure out how I want to bend them up, burn them in. I also think I figured out how I want to do the bottom. So you think about just something quick like that, guys, and then we'll just have to make a little filler panel on this side and the other side, but we'll worry about that when we box it in, because otherwise we're just kind of, I mean, this is all going to be filled in. So, I mean, we're cutting a piece that we don't know necessarily what it needs to look like. But this side we can for sure box in. And then on this side, I think what I'm going to do is just do a vertical piece here, and then just do a triangular piece. It'll be on the inside and the outside, but not do, I guess it would be a top cap. So we're still going to box everything in. What that's going to let me do is put I measured this is what, like 1.125", I think, and the frame is like 2 1/4 or some shit. So if I do a triangular piece right here, it's going to let the sway bar bracket still come up and tuck in between the, so the sway bar bracket is still going to fit in here. I'm going to have to make sure that I don't get carried away. I might even be putting my foot in my mouth because obviously this bushing is larger. We'll figure it out here shortly. It might even be a later thing because, I mean, I'm going to need this bolted back up in place to for sure know where that's going to sit. But again, we'll tack that when we get there. Holy crap, guys. I wish I was recording just simply cutting this piece. Again, workbench clusterfuck. I am just cutting stuff, holding it. I set my hoodie on fire, and then I set my crotch on fire. So, that's cool. Burnt my pubes and everything. Dang it.
This holiday smells like burnt rubber. God, it's hot in here.
Look out, guys. That's where we are going to end the night, because I have to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And this did end up working. I didn't do right there yet, but you can see even on this side, I'm going to be able to just cut a little angled piece like that, still get to my nut and bolt here, and still be able to add a little bit of strength back into this. But I think that actually looks pretty nice. I was confident enough in the welds that I ground them down. I mean, you're never going to see any of this stuff again after I paint it and cover it up with the whole last truck, but I think that's going to be plenty strong and going to work just fine for a little makeshift nobody like me. I'm going to take that. Now we just have to repeat the same thing on this side. You see, I haven't done any of it. And then after that's all done, we get to come back here and do the same thing, but the opposite way. But I gotta give myself and the dog a bath. See, am I still smoking? Did I set myself on fire again? No, I think I'm okay. But I gotta give myself and the dog a bath and hit the gym at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Got 12 hours of driving to do. And then after that, I'm on my regular 15-hour week job cycle, so it probably won't be till Sunday till I get back out here. It's currently Monday. It's Monday, so we'll see. Okay, guys. A couple days later, just knocked out, what, a 13.5-hour shift. Quick hour-long gym session, and in the half hour I've been out here, actually, I knocked out this side, all welded in, everything's all painted. So at this point in time, it's probably going to be till the weekend. We're going to jump back here and start attacking that section, but I ain't mad at that. Again, I think if I were to do this again, I probably would scoot it back just a little bit for multiple reasons. A, like I said, I was really close to my sway bar mounting brackets. Also, the frame happens to kind of like be at its upward motion right there. So it kind of looks like, I mean, I guess because it technically is, it's at an upward angle right there. But A, it's plenty strong and will be even more strong once we box it in. B, you're not really going to see it. I mean, because the doghouse is going to sit, you know, there's our holes. And by the time you get the engine and radiator and all that jazz in here, it'd be just fine. You're never going to notice that these are kind of coming upward a little bit. And again, I said if you're worried about strength or whatever, I'm going to box in from the Vic boxing plates to probably right where I got this rod. Maybe not, because I think I need to be able to get a wrench in there. So maybe we'll just box right to where that hole is. So at least that whole area is strong. I mean, again, I know I'm repeating all this stuff. It's a couple days later. I can't remember what I did or didn't say. But we did fish plate it. And then, you know, tie everything back in. So I don't have any concerns with it. A, this is basically supporting the radiator of the doghouse. It's back there. Back there really needs to be the strong section of it. I mean, you know, it should all be strong. I know. But up here, is it going to be supporting the weight or doing the duty that back there is? But anyway, can't tell. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go shower, catch some Z's, and then hopefully Sunday we'll make it back out here. Get this rear section going. Ha! Got him. Got him. Anyway, it is actually 2 days later, not the weekend. And last night I made it out for a whopping half an hour and got that side finished up. Shot some paint on our thing. And I am ready to jump back and do this section. Now back here, I am going to brace this up with some thicker metal because it's going to support a lot more of a load than the front is. I was going to grab them and show you what I was going to use, but where'd they be at though? Where the frick are they? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to cut up and use the lower control arm brackets that come with this kit that allow you to use the factory Crown Vic brackets that I'm not. There they are. There they are. So I'm going to cut up these because these are way more thick, and you know, and we'll just, when that's all said and done, obviously I'm going to have to cut it to size, but fish plate that back up. And so yeah, we've got our vertical line again, and again I'd used the flat spot on the box plate to do this line here. So got it flush there, and then we are flush there, 2.5 inches. I'm going to double check it. So we were going to end up, like I said 10 times now, we're going to end up lifting this or lowering this, likely lifting this because this is welded so it don't go nowhere. We'll take this up 2.5 inches, leaving that low, this high. So our suspension is 2.5 inches lower, and hopefully that's going to get us sitting on the ground. But yeah, so when you come back, I'm not going to bore you with making you watch me do all this all over again, but we will check in. And I still have to address this. Like I said, This needs to be bent up or cut off. Man, being able to bend it would be the bee's knees, but that's some pretty thick metal. I don't know that I'll get that to bend flat. That kind of shucks, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Believe it or not, guys, I think just an adjustable wrench. I don't know if I can do this one-handed now. If I work it back and forth, I think I'm gonna get that relatively flat. So if I had some heat, which I don't have, I could do this a lot easier, but for now, that's how we're gonna approach that. Yeah, buddy, gotta do a little bit more working, but I'm gonna wait till I get this notched, stepped, and then we will see where our lower control arm bracket wants to be and finish bending it up. But yeah, crisis averted. That wasn't a big deal at all. Wow. Cut wet, super simple. See, I braced up there, gave her some kickstands, and I had previously bolted in my transmission cross member instead of welding in another tube. If I would do it again, I may have put one up here. When I cut, it did flex like ever so slightly. I don't think it's gonna fight me going back together. I have clamps and a welder. So at this point in time, guys, like I said, this needs to come up 2.5 inches, and we're gonna burn it back together. Wow. Got her burned in. Got our little fish plate in there, still cooling, still steaming away. But yeah, we are nice and rigid again. So I guess next is next. We're gonna do some little transitions, and again, you know, I kind of half-assed took you along for the front, and this is kind of a freestyle thing. You can kind of do that however you want, so long as you're reinforcing it, making it strong again, and it looks good enough for you. It was good enough for me. So moving along, let's transition that back together. The only other thing is, since I don't have the sway bar, hi Midas, hi Misty Mouse. The sway bar is not in the way. I can and am going to do a step right here on the upper and lower section of this again, because this is more load bearing. Front, not so much. But first, get one of these here brewskis. Also, slacking. Bow. Little update, guys. I got my one. I got this piece cut, which is that guy right there, and the other bracket is hanging out right there. Again, I'm just transitioning this back together. I did do a longer swoop than on the last one. I think it looks better, and I had the room to do it. So, but yeah, we're just boxing this back together. I'm using zero fancy tools. I just pulled some measurements, and I cut everything over here on the vise. And despite the fact that I keep forgetting, I do have a little brake right there. I've literally never used. Just bending everything right here on the vise. So, I mean, you don't need to have any fancy tools to do this. It helps. This side is, the rear is definitely turning out more gooder than the front. But I'm gonna burn this side in. I am actually, I still have my freaking mask on. Despite the fact that he offered me more metal, I didn't grab more. So I'm working on being out of metal. So I don't think I'm going to get this transition done here, and I don't know when I will get back to it, because I do have a Monday, Tuesday run, and then I'll be back on my normal job. So again, next week I'm going to knock out like 70 hours and literally not be home. So I'm just trying to make progress with what I can, and I don't know, by the end of the video I would like to hopefully have my, I keep losing shit, and it's totally sitting right here too. Where is it? Oh, I must have tripped on it or something. You got to modify the cab mounts, since that's not going to work anymore. Basically just cut the top off, and then these two holes right here are still going to line up. We'll modify the front, and we'll end up burning that back on. But by the end of the video, I would like to have this thing sitting in the ground, cab and doghouse back on it. Fingers crossed, laying body. But, you know, I better get to work. If I keep flapping my dick sucker, I'm never going to get anything done. Still just kind of double checking and mocking stuff up, guys. Like I said, I need to trim the cab mounts, which I'm going to finish later. I just got the top off so I could bolt them on for now. Z-bar still fits in its original location, though I don't know if I'll end up using the mechanical linkage again. Also, with the engine, thus bell housing and everything sitting a little bit higher, I don't know how that's all going to line up, so we'll have to see. Other thing is, kind of glad I double checked this, because you see this is quite tight. So had I done a long transition like I did here, that would have screwed me here. So I'm gonna end up having to do, that might have been up perfect though, didn't it? That worked out alright. So I can still probably give it a little bit of an angle. I'm gonna have to take because the cab mount is actually in the way, at least in its current configuration. We're gonna have to cut it, but it's in the way of installing that. So my original plan was to weld these on here, and I know a lot of people do, but I mean, if this is welded on, we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see once I get this trimmed, the kind of room that I have here, because obviously I can't take this off with this in the way. So there is that. I mean, once this is on, it never needs to come off. And in theory, you know, I could bring the Crown Vic suspension in at an angle and make that happen if I had to, but you know, given having to service, or God forbid if I take this thing apart again, that would be kind of a pain in the dick. But currently I'm trying to get this thing down on the ground so I can see how it's gonna sit, and I don't know that I'll make it happen tonight, but I would love to drop the cab on it and just see how we're sitting. But okay, let's do work. Woo! Like, I got everything cleared out from underneath of it. The anticipation is just kind of getting to me. Let's see how low she go. And that's still rear end way up in the air. Yeah, buddy. Oh, let's get that rear end dropped. Hell yeah. Oh, look, showing what's stopping us is the cross member bolts that I actually have in upside down. Otherwise, this frame would be on the ground for sure. Oh yeah. Yep. We got just enough clearance there that those bolts are all that's stopping us. That's dope. I gotta clean up this garage. See if I can, fuck, I wish I had some friends nearby. I wanna put the cab on the truck so bad. Guys, I should be happy, but I'm really freaking annoyed. I really genuinely thought this thing was gonna lay the body, and I mean, not quite. She low AF. She's tucking hard, but not laying the body. But we're not cutting all that back out. I mean, even just doing that 2.5 inch frame Z was a lot. But I mean, she low. She sure is low. Looking good with the firewall being shaved, and we're sitting all kinds of fucking cattywampus and stuff. But man, that's low. That's trans cross member on the ground. That's the Crown Vic cross member sitting on the ground. And I've got the rear end jacked up. The top of the frame notches are actually, I leveled those with the same spot that I used to level the frame. So the tops of the frame notches are also level to this. So the frame is sitting level. Obviously the rear of the frame sits higher where the bed sits on it. But that's where we be, guys. I should have recorded myself putting this cab on here, because I did it by myself. Basically slid it with some rails, and it was exhausting and a pain in the ass. And I should have just waited, but I really wanted to see what my truck looked like. But anyway, I'm gonna go in and clean myself off and start this super long work 2 weeks. But I'll be back doing something. Jesus, it's a freaking mess in here. Alright guys, it's the next week or the next month. I don't know. It's no longer the day that I recorded last. I don't know how many days it's been. Anyways, garage is a mess as always. Is my camera blurry? Also, as always. Is that more good? That's more good. I think what I'm... God damn. I haven't been out here in a couple days, and I am... God damn, she's sexy. You're a good-looking girl. You'd fucking sexy. If you had an ass, I'd fucking be fucking smacking it up. Smacking that ass up.
Oh, my.
But, anyway... I think what I'm going to want to do is, even though I'm not using the 3-speed, this truck is actually later in life, maybe at some point in time, when this thing gets back on the road, I'm wanting to do the Tremec TKX. I'm super over that 3-speed, though I love my Hurst shifter. Just, you know, I'm going to have an extra 100 horsepower, and I really want to enjoy banging gears in a transmission that doesn't suck. But anyway, I think what I want to do is put the engine and transmission together and give them a test stab just to see how many issues I have caused. You know, I've watched a couple videos of guys kind of doing this, but they leave out so much. They kind of like start to Z the frame, and the next thing you know, everything's boxed and done, and they're driving the fucking truck. You know, they don't jump into, you know, how they're doing motor mounts, or if they're still using their Z-bar, how they modified that, or if they're switching to, you know, a hydraulic setup, which I really don't want to do, but I will if I gotta. You know, if they run into transmission tunnel clearance issues, blah blah blah. You know, all the guys I've found doing this leave out like so much. So anything that I can show you guys as a learning process or hiccups to look out for is kind of what I'm looking to tackle here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna blow this front end off real quick and bolt the engine and trans together. Give her old test stab in there, just kind of see how everything's gonna work. Okay, so got the front end jacked up. What I ended up doing, so I didn't have to take the cross member out, so I took the bracket, put it on the transmission, jacked up the front end, put stands under the cab, lowered the front end back down a little bit, hopefully leaving myself enough room to get the stand legs underneath, the bigger legs anyways, underneath there. And at this point, we got oil pan, bell housing, transmission on. Anything that can A, help me line that up, B, let me see what all is going to need done. I didn't bother with the motor mounts because they're very clearly not going to work. See, those kind of kick out at an angle. The Vic pads are very flat, very clearly not going to work in any way, shape, or form. But I just kind of want to see. I don't even know if you can use a front sump on this. I just thought about that. I guess we're going to find out. Getting real close, guys, and it's super looking like, I can't believe this is something I never thought about or necessarily even read up on the forums, is that I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go with the rear sump oil pan here. That's not looking very promising as far as clearance goes. At least nothing's painted, so I can scratch the shit out of it. It's fine. What are we hitting? Oh. I'm gonna have to manhandle this thing in here like always. Wow. So we're learning things. And one of the things that we've learned, obviously we already talked about it, that front sump oil pan is gonna be a no-go. That's not gonna clear. For sure. Not even kinda. And the engine is currently sitting like level-ish. Again, we want to go with the Tremec TKX later, and this is just my factory 3-speed on, I don't know if you can see it or not, sitting on the factory cross member. I do have, again, I don't know if you can see it or not, I have a couple inches that I could push this thing upward if I wanted to and raise the engine and transmission. Maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I don't know if I would get away with the full 2.5 that I, hi, Needy McPeedy, that I lifted the cross member here, but I do have room to go up if I so choose. Hey. Jeez. As you can see, the Z-bar is not even kind of sort of lining up, and I was really hoping to reuse that. Now, I could maybe modify it, maybe cut it, flip it, but then, you know, we're going to be modifying the rod and everything for the pedal and everything. But again, I was really hoping to reuse the mechanical stuff. I'm just not in to the newer stuff, and it doesn't seem to last. You know, all the shows and stuff that I watch. Needy McPeedy, bro. Get out of here. Go on. Get out of here. Go on. I'll get you. Get out of here. Go on. Go. I'm gonna get you. Get out of here. Come on. It seems like even like the most expensive, nicest stuff on the market, man, it just seems like the quality of a lot of the new stuff isn't there. And I've seen the hydraulic setups on these fail so many times, and on the mechanical setup there's nothing to die or nothing to fail. I was really hoping to keep that, but we'll see. I'm not gonna get in that today. Maybe I'll drink some beers one day and see if I can slice this up, modify it, get it lined back up. I kind of like it sitting low without a rear sump oil pan. I mean, my transmission has clearance. We're not quite hitting the ground, and we are. I mean, we're down. This is frame sitting, so that's as low as we're gonna get. Another thing we learned is I wasn't intending on using these, but I happen to have them laying around. These are actually off the lightning. Long tube headers are not even the kind of sorta gonna be an option. Not really talked about this yet. If they would ever freaking answer their phone, I'm wanting to run the MagDog fender well exit headers that are actually for that truck. Or I'm going to get me a set of maybe some Lake style. It's pretty tight in here. End result, I want the exhaust to come out of the fender well and have a cutout and run duals all the way to the back. So I can kind of talk and enjoy myself when the wife and I take this thing out for dinner or whatever, and then I can uncork it and just fucking totally be a scumbag when I'm out enjoying it, beating the crap out of it by myself. So we will see. If anything, maybe I can get myself like a set of turbo headers and then just build a clamp and wrap them back. I don't know. Let's throw the front end on here, actually. Okay, front end back on. So as I was saying, the goal is to run a set of fender well exit headers, rather I makeshift a lake or a log style manifold, and I don't know. I am really going for like the bagged gasser look here, and like I said, I want to swoop up this way, drop down right here where there is still just so much room for activities. Drop my cutout right there, and then still run duals all the way to the back. But I definitely got some brainstorming to do, some researching to do, and as always, parts to buy, fabrication to figure out. But yeah, guys, yet another giant hurdle conquered on Sandy here. So that's where I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. If you would like, subscribe, share. We're creeping up on 2,000. If you guys could like screenshot whatever you're watching, put that on your Instagram, on your Facebook, tag Eppy's Chop Shop in it. Whatever you guys can do to help me grow, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. This is a lot of work. Not only is this a lot of work, making these videos makes this 10 times more of that work. So if you guys could help your boy out, I would genuinely appreciate it. But I'm tired. That's it. I'm tired. I'm gonna finish the beer, wash my dick beaters, and get to bed. But much love, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. Deuces.